Northwest 10th Street, 867-1965.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
We are The Source, WOCA.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. I want to recall something for you, and I'm not bringing it up to bring you down. In fact, I'm bringing it up to bring you up. But it sounds like something that would bring you down. It was the last days of my mom's life. I was at her room. She was living the last couple months in an assisted living facility. And it was in that facility where she died. And I was there pretty much every day. And I was sitting with her. And hospice was working with the family. And I was sitting in a chair. And one of the hospice ladies pulled up a chair. And she sat directly in front of me. And she took my hands. And she said, "Your mother is dying." I knew that. But hearing her say it made my heart sink when I heard that, you know. The folks from hospice were so good. 4 years earlier, I had a very good experience with hospice another time. That's when my father died. In his case, we knew he was, well, in both cases, the family knew that both parents were dying. But it was the hospice people that really kind of, how do I say this? Ushered us or escorted us to that inevitable moment, you know, and made it a lot easier. Even some practical things like the disposal of was it called morphine, Robin?
Yes.
Is that the drug?
Yes.
Even the disposal of the morphine, which I never knew, but you have to mix it with coffee grinds and and throw it away. I never knew that's how you get rid of morphine. Anyway, so I've always had a soft spot in my heart. I'll never be able to repay hospice for what they've done for us, and you probably can tell whenever we've had hospice guests from our local hospice offices, you know, they kind of love them all, and even if I've never met them, I just know what they do, and it endears me to them what they've done. I believe they are angels on earth. It just seems like it. On the phone is J. Donald Schumacher. He'll correct my pronunciation if I have it wrong. He's the president and chief executive officer of the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization, and he's going to tell us how to learn more about hospice before we're faced with a medical crisis, such as the two that I just kind of told you about in my own personal life. And I know, Robin, hospice has helped you and your family as well. Good morning, J. Donald Schumacher. Good morning, Donald.
Good morning. How are you? And I think I should be interviewing you. That was a wonderful testament to the work that we do.
Oh, wow. I appreciate that. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, it is. It's Don Schumacher. Yep.
Okay, so I refer to you as Donald. Well, thank you for being on the air. Where are you right now? Where are you calling from?
I am in beautiful Washington, D.C., the land that sanity forgot. And it's about 65 degrees outside. It's quite lovely. Good morning.
How long has hospice been around?
Hospice has been around since 1965. It was begun over in England, and it sort of came to the United States in about 1974. And now there are about 5,500 hospices in the United States, and so the numbers have grown pretty dramatically over the last 15, 20, 35 years.
You want to hear something crazy? Robin and I have been doing radio forever, and so I was very much familiar with hospice. They'd come in for interviews for always, right? And I knew they were nice people. But the first hospice experience I had was my dad. And when somebody said, "We're going to call hospice for your dad," I said, no, he doesn't need that. He doesn't need that, because in my mind, that was like saying he's done. There's no hope for him anymore, which
right.
The hospice was brought in because there was no hope. But as much as I knew about it intellectually, emotionally, I didn't want that to happen. Now I know better. I knew better when it was my mom's time, if that makes sense.
Well, you know, it does. It's never an easy conversation or decision to make. And you know, I've been doing this now for quite a few years, and I always tell people, you're not giving up hope, but you're hoping for something that's realistic. And one of the, I think, most difficult parts of anybody's dying is if the patient's dying and nobody wants to talk with them about it, the doctor can't talk about it, the family can't talk about it, and people, out of this huge sense of denial, end up being present at the bedside as the person drifts away, no chance for them to be able to say goodbye. So I just encourage people to say, you're not giving up hope for all. You're giving a hope rather than for cure. You're going towards a hope for comfort and support and care.
Since you are a psychologist, how do you get people through life by helping them live, and then also get people through that portal to die?
It's a great question. So many of the people that I've worked with now for many, many years say to me, why didn't we come into hospice sooner? Because they have the initial resistance and reluctance to do it, but once they come in and the patient begins to relax into the care that they receive, they're for a period of time, there's some research shows that people feel better, they live a little bit longer when they're on hospice care because they're not undergoing onerous treatments. And the life that gets generated by the patient and family talking with each other about their lives together really is an unbelievable gift. And as you both would know, the memories of those dying processes, they cast very long shadows in families' lives. And if it's a positive conversation that was the last message or image of your mother and dad, so much better and greater than watching your mom or dad die in pain, tied up to machines and stuck in a hospital setting where there's no opportunity to be with each other appropriately.
Do you know, as a psychiatrist, I have a question to ask you about the whole hospice thing. If there's one thing I thought that I understood after having experienced this, what hospice did was they made it less stressful. It didn't change anything, but they just made it less stressful. It was. I mean, I know I say this and it sounds weird or whatever, but I think it was like having angels with us as we were ushering our parents out.
That is and I love the way that you're using the word ushering, because that is exactly how I view it. Our job is to act as folks who are going to help carry you and your loved one through this process. And it does reduce the stress when somebody's in the home and can say to you, this is to be expected. This is what's going to be happening next. It's this thing that we call anticipatory guidance. And you tell the family and the patient, this breathing that you're experiencing right now, this is because of this. And it really takes away a lot of the worrying and the wondering, and the conversations can continue to happen between you and your loved one, and it is so much more complete than people walking around with all these unfinished questions at the end.
The difference between my mom and my dad is my dad died at home. He wanted to. We actually had a hospital bed in the house. My mom died at an assisted living facility. As a psychiatrist, which is better for the survivors?
It really isn't better or worse. It's the fact that you were there no matter where it is. And hospice really does focus on trying to provide the care in that patient's home. Sometimes it's the home of residence. Sometimes it's an assisted living facility or a nursing home. The important part is that you're there with the hospice team, helping the transition to take place.
Help me with the word palliative. I think I had it explained to me once before, but I can't remember what it means.
The word is from a French word meaning to palliate, which is to reduce or to cloak symptoms, difficult symptoms. So palliative care is essentially making sure that when that patient is going through the process of being very ill and dying, there's somebody there to provide them with enough support, medical support, to make the pain tolerable and the discomfort tolerable. So it essentially means a tool to disguise things that might be painful or difficult for you. And hospice is the largest provider of palliative care in the United States.
And it's very comforting knowing that hospice is there 24/7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the middle of the night at 2 a.m., if you wake up and your loved one is having a difficult breathing episode, to be able to call and have the nurse come right to the house, it makes all the difference in the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The amazing thing is that we have this, and gosh, the one thing that my notes say you wanted to talk about was learning more about hospice before you actually need them, and again, Robin, we couldn't have learned any more. I mean, we had them in the studio so often, but at the same time, there's something was missing for me to be able to embrace it when it was time to.
Yeah, there's so many questions that people have that they don't get to ask until they're in the middle of it. And what I always tell people is don't wait too long to ask the conversation, to have the questions with your loved ones about what's necessary, what is it they want, what is it that they don't want, so that you're not up for guessing in the middle of a crisis. That's the worst time in the world to be trying to make a decision, and that's when you're in the middle of a crisis. We have a new public awareness campaign going on right now called Moments of Life, brought to you by Hospice, or made possible by Hospice. And actually there's one in there of a patient in a Florida hospice program Your listeners can go on to it. It's momentsoflife.org. It's great. All of these interviews that are on there, the videos are helping to explain the importance of having the hospice conversation earlier. You might think you're ready, but believe me, you want to really be ready before you're faced with a conversation that needs to be had.
Good advice from a really awesome group. Donald Schumacher, thank you for being on the air with us today. The website that I just mentioned is momentsoflife.org. Check it out and make sure you contact our local hospice people too if you want more information. Thank you, Donald.
Thanks very much. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Variable cloudiness today with some showers and thunderstorms most widespread and heaviest in the afternoon, the high 84 to 88. Mostly cloudy tonight with a shower or thunderstorm, low 69 to 73. Clouds and some sun tomorrow with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm around, mainly in the afternoon, high 83 to 87. For Wednesday, periods of clouds and sun with a thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 83 to 87. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Hi, I'm Yvette.